Marcus Rivera had worked the night maintenance shift at one of Orlando's largest theme parks for almost 7 years. Every evening, when the fireworks faded and thousands of smiling tourists walked toward the exits, Marcus began his real job. While visitors slept in hotels and planned their next day of fun, he wandered through empty attractions, service tunnels, backstage corridors, and forgotten maintenance routes that most guests never knew existed. The park looked magical during the day. At night, it felt completely different. The colorful music stopped. The artificial rivers became dark black mirrors. Giant cartoon characters stood frozen in storage rooms. Roller coasters creaked in the wind like old metal skeletons. Marcus was used to it. Nothing surprised him anymore. Or at least that's what he thought. Everything began on a humid August night. The park had closed 2 hours earlier when Marcus received a maintenance request from his supervisor. Section 19. Underground utility corridor. Water pressure issue. Marcus groaned. Section 19 was one of the oldest parts of the park. Most employees avoided it. The corridor was built decades ago when the park first opened, and over the years newer tunnels had replaced many of its functions. The area wasn't dangerous, just creepy. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and maintenance kit before heading toward a locked access door hidden behind a decorative pirate attraction. He unlocked the door. The cheerful pirate music from above instantly disappeared. A cold silence swallowed him. Concrete stairs descended deep underground. His flashlight illuminated damp walls covered with old pipes and electrical cables. Step, step, step. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. After several minutes, he reached the utility corridor. Something felt strange immediately. The water pressure alarm that had supposedly triggered the maintenance request wasn't active. Everything appeared normal. Marcus checked his radio. No signal. That wasn't unusual underground. Still, something bothered him. Then he heard it. A sound. Very faint. Almost like voices. Marcus stopped walking. The voices disappeared. He waited. Nothing. He continued forward. The voices returned. This time louder. A group of people talking somewhere beyond the concrete walls. Marcus frowned. That made no sense. According to park blueprints, there shouldn't be any occupied rooms beyond this section. Only abandoned storage spaces sealed decades ago. Curiosity got the better of him. Following the sound, Marcus eventually reached a dead end. Or what looked like a dead end. His flashlight swept across the wall, then stopped. There was a narrow gap. A crack running vertically between two concrete sections. Marcus moved closer. The voices were definitely coming from behind it. He pushed. Nothing happened. He pushed harder. Suddenly, the entire wall shifted slightly. Marcus froze. It wasn't a wall. It was a hidden door. Slowly, it opened inward. A wave of cold air rushed out. Marcus stared in disbelief. Beyond the doorway stretched a tunnel he had never seen before. The passage wasn't shown on any park maps, and judging by its condition, it hadn't been built recently. The walls looked ancient, older than the theme park itself. His instincts told him to leave. Call security. Report the discovery. Instead, he stepped inside. The hidden door closed behind him. The sound nearly made him jump. The tunnel sloped downward. Far deeper than the park's normal underground infrastructure. The voices became clearer. Men, women, children, dozens of them. Marcus continued cautiously. After several minutes, he noticed something disturbing. The tunnel walls contained symbols carved directly into the stone. Not graffiti, not decoration, actual carvings. Hundreds of them. Human figures, fire, animals, and something else. Large gatherings surrounding what appeared to be feasts. Marcus felt increasingly uncomfortable. The deeper he went, the older everything appeared. Eventually, the tunnel widened. Light flickered ahead. Orange light. Firelight. Marcus extinguished his flashlight and crept forward. His heart pounded. What he saw next changed his life forever. Below him stretched an enormous underground chamber. The cavern was massive, large enough to contain several football fields. Hundreds of people moved through the space. Entire families. Children playing. Adults working. Elderly people sitting around fires. Small houses constructed from stone and reclaimed materials lined the cavern walls. Marcus couldn't believe his eyes. An entire hidden community existed beneath one of the world's busiest tourist destinations. How was that possible? Who were these people? How long had they been here? The community looked strangely organized. Everyone wore dark clothing. Everyone seemed to follow strict routines. No one appeared surprised by the underground environment. This wasn't temporary. These people lived here. Marcus carefully observed from a rocky ledge overlooking the cavern. At first, everything seemed almost normal. Then he noticed the smell. A strange smell drifting upward from the central gathering area. Something cooking, but not quite. Something unfamiliar. Unpleasant. A large feast appeared to be underway. Dozens of people surrounded long wooden tables. Massive cooking pits burned nearby. Several figures wearing dark red robes supervised the gathering. Unlike everyone else, the robed figures carried symbols on their clothing. The same symbols Marcus had seen carved into the tunnel walls. The crowd treated them with visible respect. Almost fear. One robed leader raised both arms. The cavern instantly fell silent. Hundreds of people stopped talking, stopped moving, stopped everything. The leader began speaking. Marcus couldn't hear every word from his position, but certain phrases reached him. The founders, the hidden way, the sacred feast, the surface world. The crowd repeated the final phrase together. The surface world. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. These people clearly viewed themselves as separate from normal society. Then the feast began. Workers carried large covered trays toward the tables. Children cheered. Families gathered closer. The robed leaders watched proudly. Marcus leaned forward, trying to understand, trying to identify the food. One tray accidentally tipped sideways. The cover slipped. For only a second. One terrible second. But it was enough. Marcus saw a human hand. His blood turned to ice. The tray was quickly covered again. No one reacted. No one screamed. No one looked shocked. As if it were completely normal. Marcus stared in horror. No. Impossible. His mind refused to accept what he'd seen. Yet deep inside he already knew. The symbols. The secret society. The strange speeches. The hidden underground civilization. The feast. And now the hand. The truth assembled itself piece by piece. These people weren't merely isolated. They were cannibals. Marcus felt nausea rising in his throat. He needed to leave. Immediately. He slowly backed away from the ledge. Careful not to make noise. One step. Another. Then disaster struck. A loose stone shifted beneath his foot. The rock tumbled down the cavern wall. Clack, clack, clack. The sound echoed throughout the chamber. Instantly the feast stopped. Every head turned upward, toward Marcus. For several terrifying seconds nobody moved. Hundreds of eyes stared directly at his hiding place. Marcus couldn't breathe. A robed leader pointed toward the ledge. The entire cavern erupted into chaos. People shouted. Children were rushed away. Torches were grabbed. Groups of men began climbing toward his position. Marcus turned and ran. The tunnel behind him suddenly felt endless. Footsteps echoed from behind. Many footsteps. Dozens. He sprinted through darkness, ignoring exhaustion, ignoring fear. The hidden community was chasing him. And if they caught him, Marcus had little doubt about what would happen. The tunnel twisted sharply. Marcus nearly slammed into the wall. Behind him the voices grew louder. Closer. A flashlight beam appeared. Then another. They had lights too. Marcus raced forward. His lungs burned. His legs screamed in protest. But fear pushed him onward. Finally he saw it. The concealed doorway leading back toward the theme park tunnels. Hope exploded inside him. He reached the hidden entrance. Pulled desperately. Nothing. The door wouldn't move. Panic surged through him. He pulled again. Still nothing. The footsteps were approaching rapidly. Marcus searched frantically. There had to be a mechanism. A latch. A switch. Something. Then his fingers found a metal lever hidden beside the frame. He yanked it. The doorway opened. Marcus threw himself through. The door slammed shut behind him. For several seconds he listened. Silence. No footsteps. No voices. Nothing. Marcus staggered backward, breathing heavily. Sweat covered his face. His hands trembled uncontrollably. Had it really happened? Had he actually discovered an underground cannibal society beneath Orlando's attractions? It sounded insane. Impossible. Yet the terror he felt was real. The images remained burned into his memory. The feast. The robed leaders. The human hand. Marcus hurried toward the surface. He needed help. Police. Security. Someone. Anyone. But as he climbed the final staircase, another thought entered his mind. What if nobody believed him? What evidence did he have? A hidden tunnel. A story. That's all. And if the community truly existed beneath the park, They had likely remained hidden for decades. Maybe longer. People don't stay secret that long by accident. Someone could be protecting them. Someone powerful. Marcus emerged into the backstage area. The familiar world suddenly felt different. Artificial castles. Decorative lights. Happy music still playing through distant speakers. Thousands of visitors would return tomorrow completely unaware of what existed beneath their feet. Marcus looked back toward the hidden access door. For a moment, he considered walking away, pretending none of this had happened, returning to his normal life. Then he remembered the feast, the hand, the crowd, the chase. No, he couldn't ignore it. Not anymore. What Marcus didn't know was that his discovery had already been noticed. Far below the park, inside the underground cavern, the red-robed leaders gathered around a stone table. An elderly woman studied a collection of ancient documents. A younger man stood nearby. "The surface worker escaped," he said. The woman nodded slowly. "I know." He saw the feast. Another nod. He saw too much. The younger man looked concerned. "What should we do?" The woman smiled. A cold smile. The kind that carried centuries of secrets. For generations we remained hidden beneath their world. She touched a symbol carved into the stone table. They build attractions above us. They celebrate. They laugh. They never notice. Her smile widened. But now someone has opened the door. The younger man lowered his voice. "Do we hunt him?" The woman stared upward. Toward the surface. Toward the theme park. Toward Marcus. "No," she said quietly. "Not yet. First we learn how much he knows." Then she added 6 words that sent silence through the chamber. "And who told him where to look?" Marcus barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the underground cavern, the fires, the red-robed leaders, the endless rows of people living beneath the theme park, and most disturbing of all, the feast. By sunrise, he had convinced himself that there was only one logical explanation. He needed proof. Without proof, nobody would believe him. A hidden civilization beneath Orlando sounded insane. A cannibal society sounded even worse. If he reported it now, he would likely lose his job and become the subject of endless jokes. So instead of going to the authorities, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He would go back. One final time. Just long enough to gather evidence. Photos. Videos. Anything. Then he would expose the truth. That evening he arrived at work carrying more equipment than usual. A small camera. Extra batteries. A flashlight. A portable recorder. And a growing sense of dread. The entire shift felt different. Every smiling tourist looked unaware. Every employee seemed suspicious. Marcus couldn't stop wondering. How many people knew? Was the park management involved? Had this secret been hidden intentionally? Or had nobody discovered it before? Hours passed. Eventually the park closed. The crowds disappeared. The familiar nighttime silence returned. Marcus headed towards Section 19. The access corridor felt even colder than before. His footsteps echoed through the darkness. Soon he reached the concealed entrance. For several moments he simply stared. Part of him wanted to turn around, to forget everything. But curiosity won. Again, the hidden door opened. The ancient tunnel waited beyond. Marcus activated the camera. Recording began. Then he descended. This time he moved carefully, documenting every symbol, every carving, every strange mark on the walls. The deeper he traveled, the more evidence he collected. Eventually, he reached the overlook above the cavern. What he saw shocked him. The underground city was almost empty. Most homes were dark. Most fires extinguished. Only a handful of people moved through the streets. It looked completely different from the previous night. Marcus zoomed in with the camera. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual. Workers were loading supplies into underground carts. Food, tools, medical equipment. The community appeared to be preparing for something. An evacuation? A migration? He couldn't tell. Then a voice spoke behind him. "You came back." Marcus froze. The voice was calm. Not angry. Not threatening. Just calm. Slowly he turned around. A young woman stood in the tunnel. She appeared to be around 25 years old. Dark hair. Pale skin. Simple black clothing. No weapons. No robes. No signs of aggression. Marcus stepped backward. "Stay away from me." The woman sighed. "If I wanted to hurt you, you would already be dead." Marcus tightened his grip on the flashlight. "Who are you?" "My name is Elena." "What do you want?" She looked toward the cavern below. "To stop you from making a terrible mistake." Marcus laughed nervously. "A terrible mistake?" You people are cannibals. Elena closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked genuinely disappointed. That's what you think you saw. I know what I saw. No. She replied quietly. You saw what we wanted outsiders to see. Marcus stared at her. What does that mean? Elena motioned toward the city below. The truth is much more complicated. Marcus didn't trust her. But he listened. Because part of him needed answers. Elena slowly sat on a nearby stone ledge. Then she began speaking. Our ancestors arrived here almost 200 years ago. Marcus frowned. Before the theme park. Long before. According to Elena, the original founders were settlers who had discovered a vast underground cave system beneath Central Florida. At first, they used the caves as shelter during conflicts and natural disasters. Over time, however, they became isolated. Generations passed. The underground settlements expanded. Entire communities formed. Eventually, they developed their own traditions, their own culture, their own rules. When modern Orlando grew above them, they remained hidden. When highways appeared, they remained hidden. When the theme park was built directly over part of their territory, they still remained hidden. Marcus struggled to process everything. So you've lived underground for centuries? Yes. Why not reveal yourselves? Elena smiled sadly. The same reason people hide many things. Fear. Marcus looked down at the cavern, then asked the question bothering him most. The feast. The smile vanished. The feast is symbolic. I saw a human hand. Elena nodded. You saw what looked like one. What does that mean? The hand wasn't real. Marcus blinked. What? The founders created elaborate ceremonies designed to frighten outsiders. Why? Protection. Marcus remained skeptical. Elena continued. Imagine discovering a hidden society beneath your city. Governments would arrive. Developers would arrive. Scientists would arrive. Our world would disappear. So the founders created legends. Terrifying legends. Cannibal stories. Monster stories. Disappearance stories. The goal was simple. Anyone who found us would leave terrified. Marcus felt his certainty begin to crack. Could she be telling the truth? Then another possibility emerged. Maybe this entire conversation was manipulation, a trap. As if reading his thoughts, Elena spoke again. You don't believe me. No. She nodded. Fair enough. Then she stood. Come with me. Marcus hesitated. Why? Because there are things you need to see. Every instinct screamed at him not to follow. Yet curiosity won again. Together they descended into the underground city. For the first time, Marcus walked among its residents. Children played games in the streets. Families cooked meals. People repaired machinery. Others studied books. Nothing resembled the violent cult he had imagined. Still, something felt wrong. Everyone watched him. Not openly, but enough to notice. Word of his presence had clearly spread. Eventually, Elena led him toward the center of the cavern. There stood an enormous stone structure. Older than everything else. Far older. Marcus immediately noticed strange symbols covering its surface. The same symbols he'd seen throughout the tunnels. What is this? Elena's expression changed. Fear appeared in her eyes. The real reason we're here. The answer confused him. What? She pointed toward the structure. Our ancestors didn't build this. Marcus felt a chill. Then who did? Elena remained silent. Several moments passed. Finally she answered. We don't know. Marcus stared at the massive stone monument. The carvings looked ancient. Ancient beyond comprehension. Not centuries old. Potentially thousands. Maybe more. Suddenly a loud horn echoed through the cavern. Every resident stopped moving. Conversations ended instantly. Doors closed. People began running. Panic spread everywhere. Marcus looked around. What happened? Elena's face turned pale. No. The horn sounded again. Longer this time. Louder. What is it? Marcus demanded. Elena grabbed his arm. We have to leave. Why? The scouts found something. Another horn blast. This one carried urgency. Fear. Marcus watched hundreds of residents rushing toward shelters. The atmosphere had transformed completely. Whatever was happening terrified them. Then he heard a word repeated over and over. The surface. The surface. The surface. Elena pulled him forward. Come on. But Marcus stopped. Across the cavern, several red-robed leaders emerged from the stone structure, including the elderly woman. The same woman who had ordered his surveillance. She looked directly at Marcus, then directly upward, toward the ceiling, toward the world above. Marcus followed her gaze. At first he saw nothing. Then he noticed movement. A vibration. Dust falling from the cavern roof. Tiny cracks spreading through the stone. His stomach dropped. Something massive was happening above ground. Then an explosion shook the entire cavern. The earth trembled violently. Screams erupted everywhere. Children cried. Buildings collapsed. Marcus nearly lost balance. What was that? Elena looked horrified. They found us. The words hit like ice water. Who found you? Before she could answer, another explosion thundered through the underground city. This one much closer. Stone fragments rained from above. The cavern ceiling cracked further. Marcus suddenly realized something. The underground society wasn't hunting him. Someone else was hunting them. And whoever it was possessed enormous resources. The elderly leader climbed onto a platform. Her voice echoed through the city. Evacuation Protocol 7. The words triggered immediate action. Residents moved with military precision. Clearly rehearsed. Clearly prepared. Marcus turned toward Elena. What's happening? She finally answered. The people above discovered the entrance decades ago. Marcus froze. What? They never told the public. Who? The investors. The developers. The powerful people who own land throughout this region. Marcus felt sick. They knew. Yes. They've always known. The revelation shattered everything. For generations, powerful organizations had secretly monitored the underground civilization. Not protecting it. Controlling it. Watching it. Waiting. Marcus remembered the elderly woman's earlier words. And who told him where to look? Suddenly he understood. Someone had wanted him to find the tunnel. Someone had wanted the secret exposed. Someone had used him. Another explosion rocked the cavern. This time a section of ceiling collapsed completely. Bright artificial light poured through the opening. For the first time in centuries, the underground city became visible from above. People screamed. Chaos erupted. Marcus looked through the breach. Far above, helicopters hovered. Powerful floodlights illuminated the darkness. His heart sank. The hidden world was no longer hidden. The secret was over. Or so it seemed. Then something unexpected happened. The ancient stone structure began to move. A deep rumble echoed throughout the cavern. Everyone stopped. Even the helicopters above appeared motionless. The monument cracked. Ancient stone split apart. Dust exploded outward. Marcus stared in disbelief. Something was inside. Something enormous. Something that had remained sealed for countless generations. The elderly leader looked terrified. Not surprised. Terrified. As though she had always feared this moment. Elena whispered only 3 words. They awakened it. The ground shook again. Massive cracks spread across the structure. Ancient carvings glowed faintly. A sound emerged from deep within. Not mechanical. Not human. Something older. Far older. Marcus realized the truth. The underground society had never been protecting itself from the surface. It had been protecting the surface from whatever was trapped below. The cannibal legends. The frightening ceremonies. The secrecy. The isolation. All of it had served a single purpose. To keep people away. To keep explorers away. To keep developers away. To keep everyone away from the ancient prison beneath Orlando. Then the stone monument exploded. A shockwave blasted through the cavern. Helicopters spun violently. Lights shattered. People fell. Marcus covered his face. When the dust finally settled, silence filled the underground city. No one moved. No one spoke. Everyone stared toward the broken monument. Marcus slowly lowered his hands. His pulse thundered. His breathing stopped. Inside the shattered structure stood a dark opening. An endless black void descending deeper than anyone could see. The hole seemed to swallow light itself. And from somewhere inside that darkness, something breathed. A long, slow, ancient breath. Marcus realized that the greatest secret beneath Orlando had never been the hidden civilization. It had never been the mysterious society. And it had never been cannibalism. The true secret was what the society had been guarding for generations. Something buried long before cities existed. Long before theme parks existed.